Bond.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure and Transport. Will the Deputy Prime Minister update the House on how the government is investing in nation-building, job-creating infrastructure? What other alternatives are there?
The Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I thank the member for Dunkley for his question. Mr Speaker, he's a good member, and he knows that this government has the back of Victorians. This government has the back of everyone in Australia who wants infrastructure to build jobs, to build this nation, to build our future. The Liberal and Nationals government is committed, and we are absolutely investing in more than $75 billion through our 10-year, decade-long infrastructure investment pipeline. 10-year plan to bust congestion in our capital cities and in our regions, connect those communities that absolutely are looking for connection to ports, to further markets, to take advantage of what the Trade Minister and the Assistant Trade Minister, the member for Hinkler, are doing, all while creating tens of thousands of jobs. 1 million jobs brought about 5 months earlier than what we anticipated, more jobs for local businesses, more jobs for local communities. And when we talk about the state of Victoria, we look at the $12.9 billion to key infrastructure projects, including $5 billion for the Melbourne Airport rail link, announced by the Prime Minister just recently, up to $1.75 billion towards the North East Link, $475 million towards planning and pre-construction works for Monash Rail, all of which are going to drive jobs creation. We are delivering. We are delivering. I'm asked about Tasmania. I was there yesterday and the day before. I met with Jeremy Rockcliffe, the Deputy Premier, the Minister for Infrastructure. We talked about the infrastructure needs of the Apple Isle and what a great job Will Hodgman and his Liberal government are doing down there. As well, I had discussions with the candidate for Braddon, Brett Whiteley, about mass highway funding, and he understands the critical importance of infrastructure funding. And I stood there with Brett, with Senator Richard Colbeck and local mayors Darren Quillam and Robbie Walsh at Wynyard to discuss infrastructure for our region. And later I discussed it with Senator Stephen Martin, a new voice for Tasmania in the government. Now, in Tasmania, $461 million to replace the Bridgewater Bridge, a fundamental piece of infrastructure. $400 million under the Roads of Strategic Importance. A Tasmanian roads package is going to make such a difference. Midland Highway, Bass Highway, all the highways and byways in the Apple Isle. We're getting on with the job of building the infrastructure Tasmania needs, Victoria needs, this nation needs, building our future. But I'm asked about the alternatives. Well, the alternative is very bleak. The alternative is very bleak. In Tasmania, it's just a few $1 million promised compared to our $400 million roads project. The bleak opposite of those opposite, the bleak future is there before me, Mr Speaker. A very bleak indeed, Mr Speaker. They stand for less jobs, for higher taxes. We stand for infrastructure.